Morning, everyone. We have on a very awesome guest today. We have on Andre Lazarus, who is a somatic intimacy guide and media recognized voice on relationships, sexuality, and embodied connection. His career has followed an unconventional path from serving in the U.S. Marines to guiding people through the complexities of intimacy and desire. And that breadth of experience really gives him a distinctive perspective on courage, vulnerability, and human connection. And so you might recognize him. He is best known for his role on the UK television series Virgin Island, where he appeared as a professional surrogate partner, helping participants confront intimacy challenges alongside licensed therapists on the show. And so the program really drew national attention, and Andre's presence on screen highlighted how intimacy work is not necessarily about performance, but about safety, consent, and the courage to connect. So, through his practice coming closer, Andre supports individuals and couples across a wide range of needs: men who are facilitating midlife performance concerns, survivors of trauma that are seeking safety, long term partners wanting to receive passion, and those exploring alternatives like ethical non monogamy. So, equally, he works with couples who are committed to monogamy, who want to strengthen trust and rediscover each other. His approach, rooted in the somatica method of sex and intimacy coaching, emphasizes learning through the body and replacing shame with curiosity. And so while Andre has also taught thousands and thousands of workshops introducing kink and alternative practices, he situates them with a broader conversation: how people of all backgrounds can embrace intimacy as part of their well-being. So his message consistently comes back to honesty, communication, and self-awareness as the foundations for connection. And today, Andre balances private coaching, workshops, and a men's online course on sexual communication with growing media visibility, including the upcoming second season of Virgin Island. So, very, very excited to have Andre onto the show today. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to this uh, show and this episode specifically. And let's invite Andre into the room now. All right. Good morning, afternoon to you, Andre. Thank you so much for coming onto the show today.
Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Absolutely. I am glad that this is our third time. Third time's a charm. So we finally made it.
We did
And
it.
yes. Yeah, I'm very excited. I know that first time we were recording and you got to talking, the internet was having all the issues. I was like, wait, wait, wait. Like this, everything that you're sharing, like this needs to be heard by the people. So please let's reschedule. And so then that has landed us here today. And yeah, really talking about how intimacy can be healed after trauma and how somatic practices can really help to reconnect with safety, trust, pleasure, helping people go at their own pace.
Hmm.
So yeah, really excited to get into all of that today with you.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Yeah, so first, okay, you have an interesting background coming from military background
That's a fair
first.
way of putting it.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, intriguing.
Yeah.
I'd love to, yeah, just hear a little bit about your path and how you landed into this in this place.
It's a story that I've told often, so I feel like I'm getting really good at surmising a very long journey into a short period of time. And yeah, I was in the military for 8 years. It was never my desire to be in the military for an extended period of time. I wanted to serve my country, something greater than myself. And when I realized it was my time to leave, I then moved into the tech sector, the tech industry. And during that time is when I also started really leaning into what I'm currently doing, my intimacy work. And rather than being able to say that I found it, I really found like the work found me. And it found me through, I have to really credit the people who shared their experiences that they were having with me as being really profound and impactful and encouraging me to go into this work. So basically, I thank all of you, the people that I had those beautiful, delicious experiences with, because they were reflecting how healing and therapeutic those intimate experiences were. And for me at the time, I didn't really understand the language around, you know, how sex could be this healing art and something that could help people to shed trauma or to go deeper into a knowing of their self. That came kind of later on as I continued doing the work more and more. But that's kind of how I went from a military background to now really just being in a very embodied experience with clients and also learning so much about myself along the way.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, curious, like, what did this start with your own sort of healing of like using somatic practices, and then yeah, like, was it first working with clients and using that, or was that first a tool for you and you're like, wait, I have something to share here for others?
Hmm. It felt simultaneous. I
Hmm.
felt that my healing journey of my own past, my own learning of my sexuality, my own trauma, kind of coincided because, as I mentioned, a lot of the learning and deeper introspective thought processes that happen for me happen in these times when I'm sharing intimate spaces with clients. And I have the fortunate ability to be able to, with the work that I do, go into a physical space with clients. So it's not just talking, we're actually in
Hmm.
embodied, intimate, sometimes sexual experiences. So with that, while it was also something that was kind of building the skill set and learning a lot about how to hold space for people in these experiences, I'm also learning
Hmm.
as we go. So it kind of happened in tandem. But I would say mostly my own curiosity and uh, deeper questioning of why do we, have these experiences? Why are we also, held back in some of these experiences that we're having? Kept me asking more questions.
Hmm. Yeah. The word of the year, curiosity. Like
It's a good word of the year. Is that your word?
yes. Yeah, it
Yeah.
comes up so often on the show, and with clients, and my invitation that I give to clients with curiosity to help break down the shame. And yeah. And so what you're speaking to this, or maybe we can get into this, like the idea of a surrogate partner, and that was your role on the show Virgin Island. That
Yes.
was actually something that I have also just learned about this year.
Okay.
I think you're my first official like surrogate partner to have on the show. I've invited a few people and it just hasn't worked out. So
All right. I've,
welcome.
I've broken the seal. Then
Yes.
yes, it's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
And yeah, this from what I'm gathering from it, it's like you're holding this space for people into what partnership could look like with healthy boundaries and communication and courage and leadership and connection. So can you talk a little bit of like what was that like working on a show and being able to have this role for people?
I mean, I felt like you described it better than I ever could, so I can just go home now. Thank you. Um, no, it was a really incredible experience bringing this work because, as you say, not many people know about surrogate partner therapy.
Mhm.
I didn't know about it until someone brought it to my
Mhm.
attention, but it's really been around since the late 60s. And it's a therapeutic model where you have the client who is the focal point of, any therapeutic practice. You have a licensed therapist who will be working with the psychological aspects that the client is working through.
Mhm.
And then you have the surrogate, myself. And I will be working more from the somatic end of the body, and then myself and the therapist will be working in tandem, making sure the different ways that we're approaching supporting the client is in the client's best interest. And on the show is where it's really groundbreaking. It's the first time this has ever been really brought to such a public stage because it's work that is kind of been more behind the scenes. Not many people, again, know about it. But being able to do that in the public eye, I say, was an interesting experience because it is very intimate. It's very vulnerable. We are like helping to teach these individuals how to be more in their pleasure, more in their body, helping them process could be some pretty traumatic events in their life.
Hmm.
Doing that just in general is tough, but now having, cameras around you, lighting, um, kind of kicks it up a notch as well.
Hmm.
So it's definitely not something that I would have ever imagined being as successful as it was. But also without people knowing about this work and how to find this work, I feel there'd be a lot more people struggling with the challenges that they have that they feel like they'd have to go at it alone
Hmm.
and not be able to find that necessary support. Because I believe that while talk therapy is very helpful and, depending on what people are working with, can be very beneficial, sometimes you need to go a little bit further. And that's where surrogate partner therapy can really help to, help people find a path to healing. And I never want to use the term healed because I feel like it's an ongoing journey,
Hmm.
but you can at least have the support when you are going through the challenges that you might be facing, knowing that you're not alone and there are people there to help you.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's as you're speaking to it, I am like what it's taking me to is for people that seek out work with, let's say, like a professional dominatrix. And so somebody that is experienced, like wants experience in the kink world, and maybe they've had some bad sexual experiences or trying to heal some shame, like working in that context with somebody that is like going to do it right. I'm going to use air quotes, like going to do it right, but like going to do it professional, going to hear your boundaries, hear your desires, and like deliver this beautiful performance and show you like this is what it can be like. That's like I've been through experiences like that and just witnessing that and also having the therapeutic lens behind it. It's like it's so beautiful to like see spaces like this held. And admittedly, when I first heard about surrogate partnership, or even I came across a person that was a professional cuddler through Cuddlist, and
Yeah.
at first I was like, this is bullshit. Like this is like you're just fucking people, right? Like this is
Yeah.
not a real thing. Until yeah, I was very quickly put in my place. It was like,
Mm.
no, you listen. Like this is real, and this was years ago. But yeah, so I think it's definitely different. I agree with you in the sense of we can do talk therapy for however long, and I do believe that is a good starting place for people. And it is really the somatic work, like getting into the body, that I have found that is truly the transformational work.
I very much agree with you. And I hope that you weren't too hard on yourself because being put in your place, like this happens all the time,
Hmm.
especially with work where sexuality, physical intimacy is involved because our default brain goes to, oh, this should only be reserved for a particular person in my life or a particular time, and anything outside of that box that we put it in is wrong, is sinful,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
immoral. But if we like zoom out a bit, we go to we go to massage therapists to
Yeah.
help work out challenges in our body. We don't just go to our friend and say, "Hey, can you give me a massage?" It might be a pretty shit massage. Um, we go to a doctor when we have something that we can't physically work on our own. We're not going to go to our next door neighbor and say, "I've got this, sucking chest wound. Can you look up on YouTube how to fix this?" It's similar to this work. It's
Hmm.
finding people who have spent the time learning how to, I say again, I'll air quote, perfect these things because every practitioner, such as myself, is constantly learning. But
Hmm.
we're spending enough time deep in the weeds of understanding the mechanisms to help people through really challenging things that like a potential partner or even their current partner just might not be well equipped to handle. And I want to like help to normalize the idea that sex or any form of sex work is purely just for pleasure.
Hmm.
Oftentimes this work is really therapeutic.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And pleasure can also be therapeutic, right? Like yeah.
Well said. Yes.
Yeah. Pleasure is the point. Pleasure is like what we all could use more of in our life, whether it's sexual or non-sexual.
I love that you said that. I couldn't agree more.
So, what do you, as we're getting into this, like we really want to focus on healing intimacy after trauma and really just reflecting like this is possible. This is, you're not broken, you're not defective for the rest of life because you've been through trauma. What would you like first for survivors of trauma that are listening to know as we get into deeper into this topic?
I feel the first thing, as you were saying that, would be that you're not alone.
Hmm.
Um, I would say oftentimes we can feel quite isolated in our trauma, that no one, or like, yeah, I've heard people have experiences, but my experience was X this, or the other side of the coin, which is I've heard people have these really big, really challenging experiences, and mine's like this small one. So I guess I can't really say that I had a traumatic experience. There's no like every person is different, and every experience is different. So know that you're not alone is the first thing. And as you said, that there are people out there, many people, to help bring new perspective to the experience that you had. And the idea isn't to forget about it or to press a delete button. It's how do you process the experience that you're currently having, and if it's one that you feel is um, holding you back or making certain aspects of your life more challenging,
Hmm.
going into it, while it might feel scary and, something that wouldn't be good to drudge up, can actually be really helpful in the long term. And I say long term because sometimes people will come to me and say, "Oh, well, how long is this going to take?" And I wish I had that answer,
Same.
because the truth is, the only person that really knows is you as the individual. And it can take some time, and that's okay. That rather than trying to jump in or to get to that quick fix, I feel can also sometimes have a reversed effect, and maybe even deepen the trauma that is currently happening in your body. So, for instance, in surrogate partner work, it could take weeks before there's any form of physical interaction, depending on the person and their comfort level, to be touched, to be in an intimate space with another human being. So also that you can receive help, and that there isn't like a timeline to that process is the next thing I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think really what you're speaking to is like helping people develop and sense what that trust feels like in their body, rebuilding that trust with themselves. Um, which, yeah, I'm so glad that you named that. There is no timeline to this work, to this healing, in general, right? Have probably heard before, like healing is not linear. And
Yeah.
yeah, so in your words, like what does this rebuilding of trust in the body actually look like for someone?
Hmm. The piece that is coming up for me is remembering that being in your body is a safe place to be.
Hmm.
And what that looks like is um, whatever mechanisms are necessary for you as that person to feel safety.
Hmm.
It could be that closing your eyes and taking some deep breaths allow you to be more embodied. It could be clenching your fists really tight, because you might have more of a tendency to leave your body or dissociate. So clenching your fists might bring you into your body, and then when you're there, you're like, okay, I'm in my home. This is where I feel
Hmm.
safe.
Hmm.
It could be having another human being holding your hands or holding you in a hug or an embrace. But how it looks is going to obviously vary from person to person.
Hmm.
But the first essential piece is remembering that there is safety within you. And I say that within you because, and I've been there before, which is believing that the safety that I feel is the responsibility of those around me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Meaning that you, person, I need you to help me feel safe. And yes, there's definitely a component of that, but really the safety that I feel in my body is my responsibility.
Hmm.
And that's sometimes frustrating
Yeah.
because it's, I would say for me, it's been easier to put that on someone else
Yeah.
rather than and hold that for my own. So that's what I would say. What it looks like is really first safety in the
Hmm.
body.
Hmm. Yeah, I speak about this often too of like we can outsource for our healing to an extent, but at the end of the day, it's like it is up to us. Like we ultimately have everything that we need already within us. Sometimes it takes somebody else to kind of like hold that mirror up for us to be able to see that. But I was starting to tear up as you were speaking because when I asked you that question, what does safety look like in the body for those that aren't watching this and just listening, you literally displayed it to me here. Like you close your eyes, like you sat for a minute, you thought on it, like you let the answers like
Mm.
download for you. And I was like, when just as you did that, I was like, oh, he's showing me what safety looks like in the body. And so yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That was just really beautiful to witness that. And yeah, so thank you so much for the
Thank you
conversation.
for recognizing that. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Yeah, I would also say for me, there's something about um, taking a moment. It's very easy for us to like be asked a question or someone, there's like some silence or dead space when interacting with a lover, a partner, or a group of friends, and that awkward silence.
Mhm.
And when we give ourselves a moment to just be with ourselves, to allow that space to be okay, that's also where we can really start to, like you say, download those answers.
Mhm.
Because my belief is all the answers that we're seeking in life,
Mhm.
they're within us. They
Yeah.
really are. And it's helpful when we have trouble accessing them to seek guidance. And you can seek guidance through friends. You can seek guidance through therapists. You can seek guidance through plant medicine. But ultimately, my belief is that no one's really like telling us
Mhm.
we have that within us. They're just, like you said, holding that mirror to say, hey, maybe that thing that you are, that intuition in your belly
Mhm.
that you've been questioning is actually quite spot on.
Mhm. Mhm. It reminds me of like if you ever seen the memes and it's like the guy just standing on the street like holding up the big poster board. It's like that's what it feels like sometimes like you could try somatic work. You could try
Yeah.
surrogate partnership.
Yes, it's so true. Yeah, I know which meme you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And so working with a lot of people like come through my work and I'm sure your work are just feeling and they might even be able to name this themselves of like I feel so disconnected from my body. I feel so out of tune or often even feeling like they're doing the practices wrong like meditation or somatic work like I don't know, my hands feel like sweaty, like, you know, and to be able to share like that's you being a part of your body. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm good going off on like a digress here. But what are practices that you might share with somebody that is feeling that? Like what
Hmm.
are good starting points for people, would you say?
Yeah, the two starting points where I generally point people to are some form or variation of breathing. And it doesn't have to be this long breath work session. It could
Hmm.
just be breathing.
Hmm.
But when I say breathing, people are like, oh, I breathe all the time. And then I ask them, like, okay, well, show me. And then I see them. I'm like, I see you breathing from like here,
Hmm.
but you have this whole big area down your belly that if you allowed yourself to breathe from the diaphragm, you're filling yourself up with a lot more space where you're able to feel a lot more rather than staying like stuck in the kind of upper chest, throat, head space.
Hmm.
So just breathing, taking sometimes an elongated breath, like a
Hmm.
every so often, because we often breathe very shallow.
Mm-hmm.
So breath work, and then some form of clench. And when I say clench, for those who can't see me, this could be you're clenching your fists. This could be that you're flexing your biceps or squeezing your thighs. But it's if you feel like you're leaving your body or dissociating, it's often hard to not notice or feel some presence in your body when you're clenching it. It's just a instinctual feeling of, okay, I'm feeling this sensation because oftentimes if you're clenching for a while, it's going to feel uncomfortable or
Mm-hmm.
hard. Like even now, like I'm clenching my fists and I'm feeling a little bit shorter of breath and I realize I can't do this for much longer or else I might pass out. So then I release.
Mm-hmm.
And in that release, all of the that blood flow that was restricted comes flowing back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another practice I would say is when you feel like you're outside of your body, take a moment, take a few, it doesn't even have to be too deep, but deeper breaths than you normally would, and clench some part of your body. And that's a great way to remember that you have a body and that you're in it.
You have a body, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, I one I teach often is like the shoulder shrug, same like
Hmm.
shrugging up here and then like releasing.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, it feels uncomfortable a little bit like to do the shrug
Yeah.
release.
I'm doing that actually right now and that but yeah, for me that one also feels like if I did that for too long,
Hmm.
all of that clenching would actually make me lightheaded, which would then again remember like, oh shit, I gotta release
Yeah.
that. And now I remember again, I'm in my body.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I ask this like, questions like this often because I think I want tools for listeners to have that are just getting started in this. I think for a lot of people listening to the show is like the entry sometimes to the work doing this type of work.
Mm,
And so I similar to me like when I got started in this work I'm like these seem so silly like these are like the weirdest thing like I'm just like randomly throughout my day supposed to clench my fists and the
yeah.
answer is yes like the answer is
Yeah.
yes. Like it doesn't, I love that you named it. Like it doesn't have to be like this big production thing. You don't need to carve out an hour each day to do this if you can't, like if you don't want to or if you don't have the means to. It can literally be as simple as breathing from the belly or clenching your fist for a said period of time. And just letting that be enough, like just bringing in more acceptance for yourself.
Acceptance. I love that you said that word. And also grace, like giving
Mm-hmm.
yourself a lot of grace because you might have, who knows, like 50 really good days, and then that 51st day is a real struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to forget the 50 good days you had before that day of struggle or
Yeah.
say, oh, here we go again. Like all the work that I did up to this point, I'm now backpedaling and I'm broken or I'm never going to be able to get past this. And I say give yourself grace because tomorrow's a new day and we don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. So even if today is a really hard one
Mm-hmm.
and you might feel like there's not much hope or hope is lost, make sure that you're reaching out to people in your community. If it's hard to find people that you know that are readily available, just go out into the community, go
Mm-hmm.
sit in a park, go watch a movie, go have food in a restaurant, and then do some of these exercises that, Rachel and I are talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and know that all you gotta do is get to that next day, and you never know what is going to be on the agenda for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So grace and patience, that's another one I want to say as well.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with people who have, been struggling 3, 4 decades with their trauma, and they feel like they've lost so much time because they didn't have the tools or didn't have the resources available to, have the help that they're now receiving. And it's important to know that it's too late. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years old or you're 60 years old. If you're there and getting the support you need, there's hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for putting voice to that. I'd love to. change directions a little bit, get more into like sexual lens with things. Um, you work a lot with couples, you work a lot with individuals. Would you agree that the concept of mismatched desire discrepancy is something that you see often when you're working with people?
Oh my God, all the time. I have that in my own life. Yes, absolutely. I agree that that is and it's not something that I would feel like has to like happen right at the onset of a relationship. Maybe
Mhm.
it's like new relationship energy and you're really excited, and new relationship energy can last for years.
Mhm.
But if you're, 4, 6, 10 years into a relationship, well, these are human beings with ever-changing needs and desires, and then assuming that both of those people are going to be changing at the same pace or at the um, going the same direction,
Mhm.
that's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
What I desire now in life, in the way of sex, in the way of relating, is so different than 10 years ago or 10 years before that. So yeah, very much agree that that's a big, I would say one of the biggest challenges that partnerships have.
Mhm.
And it's less of the mismatch that occurs. It's, oh, now we're mismatched. Now that means there's nothing that we can do to like get on the same page. And there's many different ways of, discussing that. But I want to
Mhm.
first answer your question, which is
Yeah.
yes, 100% agree.
Yes. You queued me up for that question that I wanted to ask. Like,
You're
how do
welcome.
you, yeah, in your work, how do you help? Because I agree that is the number one thing. And it's a lot. I work primarily with the women in the relationship. And so supporting the women who feel just so guilty around this, the just the whole concept of not being enough, or I should be
Mm,
more turned on. I should want it more. I should be able to, when he's initiating, be right. Like that's my moment, And so
yeah.
yeah, all of that. Like, I would love to hear like how you help the couple move more towards each other again.
Mm. With my practice, as much as, and we're talking about, like, we'll say a couple, like in a partnership where there's two people, because I also work with people in varying alternative relationship styles. What I share with them at the onset is my goal in working with you, in helping you, talking to them both, is not to save the relationship. My job that I will be working with you on is how to advocate for yourself as individuals so that you are in your highest potential. And then when you are there, that's how you can meet one another in the best way. Because if the focus is on trying to make the relationship work, and now we're not advocating for the pieces in the ourselves that are struggling,
Hmm.
whether it be needing more communication, needing more touch, needing more support when it comes to hard times, and then we're expecting the other person to just give us those things without advocating. That's how resentment builds, and that mismatch starts to become way, way more skewed.
Hmm.
So where I actually start is working with the individual and finding out more about what it is for themselves that they're not really feeling that they're getting the most out of the relationship,
Hmm.
but what is it themselves is that is missing for them.
Yeah.
And then when each of these people share what it is, I often hear, "Oh, I didn't know that you were feeling that way. Oh, I didn't know that." And then the other will say, "Oh, I tell you all the time." And then I ask the person who says, "I tell you all the time," I say, "Well, I would love to hear how you have shared this with your partner."
Hmm.
And most of the time, if I was the partner, I would have zero idea
Mm.
because we aren't taught these tools on how to communicate really transparently. And when I say really transparently, I mean tough conversations that people are
Yeah.
afraid to have. And so when there's a mismatch for people who come to me, it's generally because people aren't being honest about what they really need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. My wheel my wheels are turning because I'm like, yeah, this is so true. And I'm glad that that we're here having this conversation. So what I'm like, where do I want to go with this? As you said, like sometimes it's not often communicated very well. What would you say as far as like tips for somebody? Like how do we first like set the space perhaps like to have a conversation like this? And then how does one go into this like very vulnerable share that they might have?
I usually encourage people to do exactly what you said, which is set the space. So rather than say you're one of the members of the partnership and there's something you're really like that's really weighing on you, and you just bring this to your partner, but you bring it to them at like 2 p.m. right in the middle of meetings. It's been like there was a long weekend and now it's Monday, and not to say that there isn't space to do that, but what I encourage is having like set times to have these discussions where phones aren't near you, where you aren't out and about. You're in a setting where you can really focus on the person in front of you and like have check-ins, what I call relationship check-ins. Um, you can do this every week. You can do this once a month. You could do this, once every 6 months. I generally tell my clients at least once a month is going to be really beneficial. But during that time of setting that time, you can create any structure you want. But the structure is really how are we feeling as ourselves? Then how are we feeling about the relationship that we're sharing?
Mm-hmm.
Because you might have a rock star month. And you're like, actually, I'm on cloud nine. I have nothing really that I can share except for all these positive things. And great, like that could be part of what the communication is,
Mm-hmm.
communicating the great things that are happening in the relationship. But then the next month rolls around, and maybe that's not as alive for you. Maybe there has been some challenges that have happened in those 30 days. Now you can talk about them rather than hoping that they're going to kind of fix themselves or just pushing it aside and saying, oh, that was just a one-off. It probably won't like rear its ugly head again.
Mm-hmm.
The chances are it will.
Mm-hmm.
So having these very focused conversation times scheduled, like when I say schedule, put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. Well, guess what? Tomorrow has come, and
Mm-hmm.
now you've got nine other things that have gotten in the way of that conversation. Block it off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, relationships are hard. They're beautiful, yes, but they're hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to put work into a relationship, meaning that treat it as if it's a job, and you need to make sure you're keeping on top of your training and that you're learning new techniques and you're keeping it fun and sexy and alive. So scheduling is what I normally
Mm-hmm.
recommend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that you also mentioned to still have the check-ins when things are feeling like they're going good, because I think a lot of the pushback that I get from people, I also share this like yeah, monthly at minimum, but weekly if you can, check-ins. And oftentimes I'm hearing it's like the check-in, every check-in, it's like this deep, hard, like vulnerable thing that's happening that sometimes doesn't always end greatly for them. And then there's that avoidance starts to pop up around it. So I think, and then I hear like, oh, like things are going good, so we just didn't have our check-in this week. Like we both agreed, like, yeah, we're fine. Like I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. Like still have the time to like what is fine, what is working well, how did you show up
Yeah.
specifically, so that those things can be repeated and like continue to progress upon.
Yeah, and if anything, at minimum, say everything's great and you don't have much to talk about, use that time to have some great sex. Like,
Mm-hmm.
use that time to connect from a physical space. You don't have to say anything,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but really allow yourself a moment to be with the person that you're desiring to choose.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like, well, I'll take that back. I was going to say there's no mandate. Some places in the world there are mandates,
Mm-hmm.
but in many places this isn't a mandate to be in front of this person. You're choosing.
Hmm.
to share this experience, this life with this person. So relish in that time because work gets in the way. We get tired as we get older. Our desires start to wane. So really soak up the moments when you can be less distracted with all the things happening in the outside world and
Hmm.
enjoy a half-hour makeout session. I'm telling you, if you're ever in a really bad like argument or you feel like no one's really bringing a good point to the argument, take a break, and if you're able to muster it, just hold each other without
Hmm.
needing to say anything
Hmm.
and breathe. And if you're feeling like you have a little bit more in you, kiss each other and just enjoy. And all of a sudden, the nervous system that is
Hmm.
heightened and elevated starts to come down a bit. It doesn't mean that that problem is going to go away, but at least you're now able to maybe even start over the conversation and come from a new lens of compassion.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. A good old oxytocin bath. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
And
works.
for long enough. Yeah. Like at least 30 seconds for the hormones actually to fire off in the body and in the brain. So yeah, I love that advice. Well, I feel like I could talk to you all day, honestly.
Well, have me back anytime. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I knew I wanted to get into it a little bit, but anything that you can tell us around the show that has a season two coming out. We really didn't talk about it like a lot on the show, surprisingly, probably because, as I said, I don't watch the show, but I know
Yeah.
a lot of my friends are obsessed with it, and so they'll kill me if I don't ask. But yeah, anything
Um,
that we can expect for the next season.
um, well, with TV and anything in that world, there's obviously certain things that cannot be shared
Hmm.
due to contractual agreements. But I can say that I was really impressed with this group of individuals who came onto the island and came with some, yeah, some really challenging moments in their life. And how they left was not how they came onto the island.
Hmm.
And I could say that you're in for a treat. So definitely get ready
Hmm.
for the next season.
Hmm. Okay. I'll have to watch it now at this point, so I can be
Highly
watching and say, I
recommend.
know him.
Yes, highly recommend.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andre, yeah, honestly, for coming onto the show today. If people are wanting to get in contact with you or have more of you in their life, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can find me. I don't use Instagram as much, but I'm on there. So I'm coming closer with Andre on Instagram. But really, to get in touch with me, the best way is through my website, which is coming-closer.com.
Okay, perfect. And you work with in-person individual or I'm sorry, in-person virtual retreats.
Yes,
You do a lot of men's work as well.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy working with anyone who is feeling called to come to me and be happy to support you.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. I'm glad that we got to make this work. No internet
Yeah,
issues today. It
we
was
did
very
it.
good. So, yes, thank you so much again. And especially for the work that you do and the gift that you bring to people and allowing them and just being part of their healing journey. I think that's really neat.
I appreciate that, Rachel, and I'm really thankful to all the people who trust me in coming to me
Mhm.
with their challenges.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks.